Lotargar friends, hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another Orc Mode workout. And today is an exciting, hard training session. Today, a lot of new stuff on Dynamic Effort Squat and Deadlift Day. But if you guys would please remember to click like down below, help keep the likes higher than the dislikes, it would be tremendously appreciated. So please reach down there and click that, because I'm going to give you guys a lot of knowledge in this vlog. It's all I ask in return is just to reach down and click like. So we're doing a lot of different stuff. Putting some extra focus on my upper back, making sure my quads get worked, everything else. I went over to the safety bar. And I think I'm going to stick with the safety bar for a while. And I know people say, Jason, I thought you hate the safety bar. Yeah, I hate it. I hate the safety bar. It makes me want to puke. Not that it's not a phenomenal tool, it's that I physically cannot stand it. But, you know, we dug in and we did it. And so we did it for the second week of the wave, and I think I'm just going to stick it out for this entire wave, at least the next wave with bands. But yeah, for a reminder, for those who don't realize how much weight's on there, they're looking at it going, oh, that's 200-something pounds for speed work. That's 125 pounds of chains. That's a lot of chains added. It's not just the bar weight. Plus it's speed work. So the thing that I've realized, I need to continue to get my T-spine stronger. My mid-traps, all of that stuff has to get stronger. Those are weak links for me. So I'm going to have to do the safety bar. And there's enough data to suggest you won't lose any quad activation. Some cases yes, some cases no, depending on the research you look at. But in theory, if I do enough volume, it'll be fine. But I'm like, if I go back over to sumos, which we know sumo hits the vastus medialis and the vastus lateralis harder than the conventional does. Okay, so I'll do sumo for my speed work to make sure that we get the quad work, because I don't want to do a bunch of extra quad work. I feel like I can get enough quad training off all this speed work by doing the deeper box, because I'm about 3 inches below parallel. We're on a deep box. I do sumo for the speed work. I'm hoping that'll be enough quad work. I don't want to do a bunch of extra quad volume, because I need to be able to focus on upper back, low back, glutes, hamstrings, all that stuff. So I'm hoping this will be enough. But for me, fortunately, my quads grow really, really easy. I can throw quad work back in anytime I want. Plus, you guys know I'm about to cut calories back a little bit at some point next week. Start trimming down, so muscle growth might not happen as quickly at that point. So we're going to do the best that we can. We're going to give it 100%. We're going to try to make gains the best that we can in spite of that. But I do need to drop just a little bit of body fat. You know, it's kind of at that point. It's a good idea moving forward in my goals. I know I haven't reached my strength goals, but I'm not going to cut down real lean. But I do feel like nutrient partitioning, muscle growth, health, everything, I could stand to lose a little bit of body fat. Okay, it's not going to be like a super in-depth cut, but I do need to drop a little bit. So over with the speed work here. Yeah, this is tough with the safety bar, and anyone who's used one understands. But yeah, we're going super deep on the box. It was 10 doubles with what I approximate to be 55%, because that's what this wave would have been. We go 50, 55, 60%. I don't have a max for the safety bar off an 11-inch box. So I'm just going to estimate, and that's fine. It was fast enough. Now we want to continue to get faster with the speed work, and we will with practice. But I tried to focus on just exploding off the box as hard as I could and try to get the plates to flap. So I actually tested it with this weight before I hooked the chains on to see if I could get the plates to flop at the top and make a popping sound. And they did. The chains will slow that a little bit. Now, we don't see that ever when I deadlift. On the deadlifting, it's always super explosive, because I'm just explosive at deadlifts, fortunately. So that made it a little bit better. But these were tiring, and I really, really feel this pushing down on my traps and upper back, and it's hard to breathe and everything with the safety bar. And particularly when you hit those chains at the top, because you've got to remember that's the chains and the weight at the top are trying to round you forward and push down on your chest. Right? It's trying to push you down and roll you forward. I only have like 245 on the bar, but you've got to remember we've got all that chain weight hitting at the top, and it's forward on those bars. Okay, so it actually accentuates the forward pull on the safety bar. It's really tough, but I've got to get good at it. And it's not like it won't carry over. It will carry over to my normal squatting. So I'm not worried about that. And if anything, the safety bar for now, because I do have that slight tendency for thoracic rounding when I grind a little bit, will help with that. Then we did sumo, and I haven't done any sumo pulls in months and months, right? It's been a while. But I decided, let me see if I can get my technique back down again, and it's clean enough for the speed work. But we were explosive. And people will say, oh, the chain aren't coming all the way up. Actually, if you pause it, the chain's coming up more than you might think it is when it's in full speed, if you look at the frames. But yeah, maybe up to 10 pounds of that chain is still on the floor. I'm actually okay with that. I wish I had a little more chains. But the downside when you do something like this, when the chains come 2 inches off the floor, because again, that's what would happen when I was doing the deficit deadlifts, that I hooked it up the same way. I need to hook them up a little higher. I'll hook them up a little higher next time if I can. It's hard to do with the leads and everything I have, but I'm still happy with it. The speed was great, but at least I didn't have to deal with the swinging forward on me on the way back down, because that can be a problem. Like when it swings and then you try to reset back up on the second rep, it's a little problematic. So having just a little bit of chain, just a link or two on the ground, actually makes it a little bit smoother. I'm not having to dealing with it swinging on me. So I'm happy with that. But for those curious, I use all the chains I have, which is only 125. So, we have to assume 10 pounds of it is on the ground still, but I have 315 on the bar. And yeah, it moves really, really fast. We're explosive. This is what we want for the speed work. At least with deadlifts, I'm fast. We could argue I need to get faster at particularly the benching, to some extent the squatting. I'm explosive on speed pulls, right? And I lock all the way back. It's just I don't hold it there long when I come forward. But I do make sure I get the full lockout. The lockouts are hard. They're explosive. So not a problem. At least I know locking sumos isn't going to be a problem for me. And we'll mess with some sumo again for max effort. I'll just play with it back and forth. But again, I want to mess with more deficit deadlifts for the max effort. We can mess with some sumos, but I need practice with the speed work on the technique. But we have to train both. It's like I've told you guys a lot of times. People are like, you tell people to train both, but you haven't been doing both lately. Yeah, that's true. I did only sumo for a while. Right? Got pretty good at it, then added conventional back in, went back to only conventional. We'll mess with both. But I think the sumos for the speed probably would be the way to go. I like the deficit speed work, but I just want to make sure the quads get worked more. And this was really easy to recover from. That's the thing with the box squatting and then the sumo pulls for the speed work. Even though it's a lot of work and actually a lot of hypertrophy training here, it feels easy on the recovery. Now, my whole upper back was extremely fatigued because I did the safety bars first. But I'm happy with the sumo speed pulls. I feel like they went really good today. It'll get my technique a little bit better. I've got to work a little bit on sumo technique again. But I'll get there. I'll definitely get there. But again, at least we're fast. But, some of the mobility's got to be fixed a little bit again because I haven't been doing it. But the box squats will fix that. So it all works together in a synergy. But at this point, I need to make sure that my speed work makes my quads grow. So that's why we're doing the really deep box. And then the sumos will help also. Because sumo deadlifts do work your quads quite a bit. We can do a lot more volume on them, particularly with speed work, than you can conventional. So we'll get decent enough quad training. Then, as I said before, I'm going to get heavier on the safety bar good mornings. Part of me, because I hate doing the safety bar so much, says, well, since I'm doing the safety bar for box squats, I could just sub these out for a normal bar. Part of me wants to because I hate the safety bar so much. But I'm like, well, do I really need it for the extra hamstring work? Because that would be the argument. I get a little bit more hamstring work and less upper back, right? But I know I need the upper back and the hamstring. I'm going to do more hamstring work. I'm going to do my glute ham raises every one of my max effort days, right? Plus, these are still working the hamstrings. And then I have the reverse hypers. And the reverse hypers are a mainstay for me. Right, I have very, very serious goals for those. And they work the hamstrings pretty effectively too. So my hamstrings are going to get worked pretty well. Particularly with the glute ham raise. In there on my max effort days. Really hitting it hard. Especially on that harder setting. But I did 5x10 with this weight. And it's not a big bump. We bumped it 30 pounds. And dropped down to 10s. And I want to see if I can start micro loading this up. Right, using my factional plates and whatever I have to do, I want to see if I can just micro load this up for 5x10 and get stronger and stronger, maintain good form, and get really strong at 10s on this. Right, get really strong at 10s on this, And I think if I can get to the point where I can do 5 by 10 with this good a form with say 225, I think any upper back weakness is going to be completely resolved for me. Be completely resolved. And again, we can go back and focus on other stuff then. But I do need these for my deadlifting. And I do need these potentially for the squat. I mean, using the actual safety bar right now. And yeah, I know we could argue about how much I need more T-spine or more hamstring. But it's hard to get other exercises for your T-spine. There aren't many exercises we can do for that. There's other stuff I can do for my hamstrings. So we really need to use the safety bar. And I have to just come to terms with that, even if I don't like it, even if it makes me feel nauseous, gives me headaches, makes me sick to my stomach. We have to dig in and do it. Because again, I've got to get stronger. And to get stronger, I've got to get thicker in the right places. And again, that's what we have to do. And we know what those places are. We're doing all of it. My triceps, particularly my triceps as they pertain to benching. Pecs to some extent. More of the triceps though. Hamstrings. My entire back. And by entire back, I don't mean lats. My lats are big. My lats are really big already. We need my erectors and all the way up to the top. All of my erectors from my neck down to my pelvis. Mid traps, rear delts, lower traps, all that stuff. So again, this fits the bill. It needs to be done. It needs to be done. So yeah, we did 5 by 10, and as I said, I want to go up from there. This is, I believe this is 185. If I've done my math correctly with a 65-pound bar, and I believe that I have. Yeah, 185. So goal would be to get to 225 or 5 by 10 with this, getting the same range of motion, getting that same rounding. Then I know that we'll be strong enough, we'll be good enough. So we need to set goals for these things, right? We know what our goals are. We can get 5 by 10 on that with 225. We know that we've reached what I need to have a 650 plus deadlift. Okay. Axle bar rows, these were easy the first set. Fourth set got really tough, so I dropped it at 4. I can get away with that some days. If I'm just particularly fatigued, because my back was shot. Why? Because I do the inverted rows on my other days. So I row 4 days a week. We row 4 days a week. This is a big part of my grip training, though. These axle bar rows are staying. This is one of these exercises I feel like I can't afford to take out, mainly because I need the grip work. So this makes it a critical deadlift exercise for me. It's a critical deadlift exercise. We could argue that the inverted rows hit the part of my back better that's the weakest, which is the upper back, right? Mid trap, rear delt, all that stuff, all needs to come up a lot. Lats are plenty big, but this hits all of that too. But we need rowing in here, and it does carry over to my deadlift, and it's phenomenal grip training. The inverted rows handle the rest of that stuff for me, and we do those on bench days. So it ends up being a lot of rowing. So it's like even if I cut these down to 4 sets some days, instead of 5, that's still 18 sets of total rows every week. That's a lot. That's a lot considering the total amount of back volume I have. Because we're doing 10 sets of good mornings every week. All the speed pulls, all the stuff from my mid back, with the safety bar and everything. We're getting a ton of back work. But we do need these for the grip training. If for no other reason, we get grip training and good isometric strength in the low back and everything else. Even if the inverted rows are hitting the weak points of my back itself better in terms of what we would want from a row. So again, I'm happy with these, even at 4 sets. This is the new weight that I bumped to recently, and I can't always do it every time. But yeah, the final set, I'm struggling. So I had to re-grip it. And it's largely grip giving out, but lats to some extent, because my back was pretty well shot. And then we finish up with the big one, the reverse hypers. And as I've said before, and I actually just talked to Clint Darden about it a little bit ago. We were discussing back training in general. But yeah, he had told me I need to get to 425 or 5 sets of 25 on my max effort dynamic effort days. We can go lighter on restoration days, which I do. So I went up 10 pounds, and we did 25s today. Getting 25s with this new weight was hard, because I went up to 340, 25s were hard. The first set wasn't too bad, but the pump that I got through my whole low back, my glutes, everything was massive. All right, this is lighting my posterior chain up unlike anything I've ever done. Okay. And it's because I had to go heavier on it. I had to quit playing around thinking that 180 pounds was a significant amount of weight. It's not. Okay, 180 pounds is restoration on this. You're not going to get bigger and stronger. It's good for recovery. Now I do 220 even on my recovery days. But 340 is where I'm at now. I'm 85 pounds from my goal. I'm going to try to get there 10 pounds at a time. Even if we have to go lighter, we're going to get there. Or 25 for 5 sets of 25. That's the goal. And I'll see if I can add 10 pounds a week. But these were tough. I struggled with the last 5 to 6 reps on the last 2 sets a lot. My back was just crushed. And my glutes and the hamstrings even to a large extent. You feel a lot of hamstring on this. And it makes sense the hamstrings are worked heavily. But yeah, the low back and the glutes. And it's all the areas of my back that I feel when I miss a deadlift. So I know it's going to carry over there. But that's a phenomenal thing. I've said here before, this is the first time I've ever felt my glutes. I've never felt my glutes even doing 5x10 with over 500 pounds on the glute bridge. Doing 450 for work sets on the hip thrust. I did not feel my glutes ever. My glutes actually get a pump on this for the first time. I get a little bit of DOMs even. So that's new for me. So we know we're working these areas. But the entire low back, and I almost feel like middle back. But if I just go by what I feel, but it probably is still part of just my erectors that I'm feeling there. But I feel all of it. And I've gotten hamstring cramps while doing these before, after also. I'm not getting that right now. So that's a good thing. I'm fortunate there. Because I don't like dealing with hamstring cramps, but they're definitely being worked. I definitely feel them. So everything got trained today, but my back and my glutes and all of that got hit particularly hard. In theory, the quads should have been, but I didn't feel them that much. But that's not uncommon. But yeah, the pump in my back from doing this, though, it's crazy. So this is really going to help. This is going to get me there. This exercise, now that I have strength goals on it and strength standards on it, this is going to be pivotal. It's going to help get my big lifts up. It's going to help me stay injury free. It's going to help me prehab and rehab my back. Again, keep my mobility there, keep all my hip hinging strong, bulletproof my low back, build my glutes, build my hamstrings, all these things. So again, we have a target on it, and it's a hefty goal. I mean, 5 sets of 25 with a weight like that. I mean, 5 sets of 25 is a lot. And that's one reason I'm going heavier on the good mornings. I can go heavier now. I need to get more tension there. We need the tension because we're getting all the volume we could possibly need here off these. This is going to be our real volume. All right, we can focus on that. We're getting tension, so we can get tension off the other stuff. So I'm not really worried about it. That's why I'm going to go down to the 10s. Let's just get really strong on the good mornings with good form, right? For 5x10, because that's still high volume by most standards. But this is so much more volume. And it's hitting a lot of the same muscles just in a very, very different way. But yeah, great session. Happy with it. A lot of new stuff introduced back in. Going to keep getting stronger, keep getting bigger, keep getting more powerful. So I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.